Good morning and welcome back to our garden. Can you believe 6 days ago there was snow covering the ground? It was windy and cold and felt like 8 degrees. Do you remember? My hands were absolutely frozen. And today the high is going to be 70. It's just crazy. So, we need to uncover the fall vegetables. But first, let's feed the birds and the squirrels and gather our supplies. Snow finally melted yesterday. It took 3 days above freezing for it to melt. I think we had about 1.5 feet of snow and ice. Now remember, the tunnels have a double layer. They have netting that protects from the bugs in the summer and the squirrels in the fall, and then a second layer of frost cloth to protect from freezing vegetables. Now, both of these areas of fall vegetables, I don't protect until it gets to the mid to low 20s. The green stalk you have to cover a little bit earlier than that, at about 27, 26 degrees. So today we're going to take off both the frost cloth and the netting, because I don't think the squirrels are going to dig in there. I've noticed lately they've been content to dig in the leaves, not down into the dirt. We're going to take them both off because they're all really wet. I'm going to lay them out in the garage to let them dry, because these vegetables are going to suffer if they keep all this moisture under there. Now first we're going to get all the sandbags off to make it easier for me. Wow, the sun feels so good. Now, I've enjoyed the snow, but wow, this sun has that warm feeling. It's just great. But I'm going to have to take off this long sleeve shirt. And this is full, so I'm going to have to store these in the garage and come back before I get more. I know winter isn't done, but it sure feels like spring, and it smells like spring too. It makes me think about when I was a little girl, about 7, I started running track with the YMCA. This is what it smelled like back then. Here's my soil for 2024. I bought it in the fall. Now, I envision leaving them all in the wagon, but obviously there's too many. And I didn't want to pile them up somewhere and block things, but kind of putting them around the edges seems to work well. I'll use them again in the spring and summer to use the netting. The hardest job is done. Now it's 73 degrees, and tomorrow it's going to be about 59. And after that, the next 2 weeks, the highs are the mid 40s to about 50. And overnight, it's not going to get below 28. So for the next 2 weeks, these vegetables are going to be just fine uncovered. Like I said, they can handle temperatures down to about 24. And this airing out will help them because their worst risk is disease from moisture. Now let's see how they survive that 9-degree weather. Kale looks really good. It can handle really cold temperatures. And the turnips, they're still nice and firm. They look good. If they had frozen, they would be mushy. One thing that got bit was the Brussels sprouts, but I think it's going to recover. I think it's because the hoop pressed down from the weight of the snow. And there was snow actually touching the top of the plant. Now those few baby lettuces look really good. And one of the cabbages just looks perfect. And the other one's because it's at the end. And again, the hoop was smushed down. Now remember, we left these 2 cabbages because we want them to send up a flower head in the spring and make their own seeds for us to save. Now the cloth and the netting, I'll lay it out in the garage to dry. But we're going to leave the hoops in place. Mostly, it just helps me know where the plants are so I don't walk on top of them. Again, the Brussels sprouts have some damage. And the chard too. I do know the chard is more sensitive, but I think they're both going to recover because their roots are still alive. The kohlrabi, it looks really good. And wow, the Napa cabbage, it looks wonderful. We even had one that snow was pressing on, but there's not any damage. I have overwintered Napa cabbage in the past, throughout the whole winter. And I've even saved seeds from it in the spring. So along here is the celery and the parsley. It was planted late in the fall. It still survived, and come spring, it's going to grow some more. Now remember behind me where we saved onions and some beets? I'm going to overwinter them, and in spring they'll send up a flower head and they'll make seeds. We want to save seeds from them. The onion leaves have a little bit of damage, but the bulb is still nice and firm. So are the beets. Carrots are still good. Look at that. Not frozen at all. And I'm going to just leave them in the ground. In the house, we have quite a few in the refrigerator. They stay for several months, but I'm just going to leave these for now in the ground. I knew that the strawberry plants would be fine. They don't need any protection. Weather permitting, about mid-March, we're going to plant our first onions, lettuces, and radishes along here. So that means a little bit at a time, I need to work on harvesting these fall vegetables and dehydrating them. Then mid-April is going to be time to plant carrots. So before that, I'm going to have to harvest all these carrots. Now, I did notice on that carrot had these little tiny roots coming out of it, so I need to keep my eye on that. But we're for sure going to leave some in the ground to save seed. Now, in this area, that's where I'm going to plant the summer vegetables, so there's no hurry to harvest that. Now, let's take a look at the garlic. It's a little bit of damage on the leaves, but that's pretty normal in winter. It's going to grow just fine in the spring. Now, the berry cuttings are still back there. I'm really not going to know if they're going to be successful until they grow new leaves in the spring. Are you excited about spring coming? What are you planning to grow? Have you already started planting your garden? Next video, we're going to start our onion seeds. Thank you for visiting our garden. See you later. Bye-bye.